Okay, we're recording. Yep, sound's on. Okay, hello. So, a little bit of a different video for my channel because I normally do fishing stuff and I don't normally do reviews. But I'm going to do a review today of this thermal spotter. It's the Mile 2 M207 from Pixfra. And the reason I'm doing it is because I was looking to get one of these and I just couldn't find the kind of video that I wanted, a real life review of a thermal spotter. There are some videos by the manufacturers and stuff, and then I think I saw one clip on Facebook. So I thought I'd do one because I've been using it for a little bit now. I've got loads of real life footage, so I thought I'd come on, do a quick review, try not to bore you too much. Yeah, so that anybody else looking to get a spotter, this spotter anyway, can have a good look at it before buying it. So, backstory. I've shot most of my life. Shotguns, I've had firearms, don't have that anymore. I handed that back because I wasn't using it. Kind of regret that a little bit now. But anyway, and I've always had air guns, Springers, CO2, but I've never had a PCP. And the back end of last year, I wanted to take my air rifle shooting a bit more seriously. So I invested in a PCP, day and night, digital scope, the works. And I wasn't looking for a thermal spotter. But then, on one of my permissions, my ratting permission, the owner, he shoots foxes, deer and stuff, he's not bothered for rats and stuff. He said, have you ever used a thermal spotter? And I said, no, I'm trying to save money, I'm not bothered. He said, have a go. So I used his. Now, given his was £1,000 worth of spotter, it was a Pixfra one actually as well. And wow, it's just, I hate this saying, but it is a total game changer. Yeah, you just see things coming from a mile off. You just see things that you can't see with your eyes or with your scope. Yeah, so that was it. I was sold, I had to buy one. Now, I was on a budget, I am on a budget. I was with my PCP, and I was on a budget with a thermal spotter as well. So I started looking around the market. The cheapest you can get a thermal spotter for new is probably something like this price, £300 to £400. You can spend what you want on them, up to £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, probably £1,000. But I was just sub 12 air rifle shooting for rats, rabbits, squirrels, you know, magpies, you know, pest control basically. So, and obviously not out at great distance either. So a budget thermal spotter was all I needed. Searching through the market, I came across a couple that I had my eye on. One of them was this, and I was looking at the Hick Micro Lynx 3, so the new models of them, but I was looking at the budget one, which was I think the LE10. I think there might have even been a cheaper one. I can't remember what it's called, an LS6 or something. They're all around the same price. The Hick Micros were coming in about £400, whereas this one was coming in, it RRP's at £400 or £399, but you could get it off the Pixfra website for about £320, £340 I think it was. There was a shop local to me, so both of them. I was going to go down and view them both. Stats are very similar. The Hick Micro had a slightly more sensitive thermal sensor. It had a 20 millikelvin sensor, whereas this one is a 35. Now it is quite a big jump, so that was kind of the only thing that I was a bit concerned about. Anyway, this one came up on eBay for £240, and it's a big saving. So I bit the bullet and I went for it. Obviously eBay now, it's all protected, so I thought even if it's broken or whatever, I'll be able to send it back or get my money back. So yeah, and what a saving and what a buy. So I will run through some of the features of it just briefly, because you can find all the tech specs online, and then we'll get into the footage. So it is a thermal spotter with a 7mm lens. You can't adjust the focus on it. Your more expensive models, obviously, you can adjust the focus for different distances. It's got the 35 millikelvin sensor, and the website claims that you can see the smallest of heat sources up to 350 metres away. You might be able to. I've not really tested it at that distance, to be honest, properly, because all my stuff is close range, probably, you know, up to 100 yards max, but that's only spotting. Obviously, I'm not shooting at that range. Most of my work is up to 30, 50 yards, probably, maximum, and obviously less than. So, In the box, you get the spotter, which has the lens cover already on. You get 2 eyepieces. This is the flexi silicone one, and then you get one that doesn't have that piece on. You get this quite nice lanyard actually. I do like it. Some people might think it's a bit big, but I like it. It's comfy, which clips straight on with a plastic clip. I don't know how substantial that will be over time, whether it'll break or not, but yeah. So you get that. You get a case for it, which is quite good. And then you get the usual booklets with all your information in. You get a cloth for wiping it and the charging lead. On the thermal itself, on the bottom, you've got a USB port for charging and downloading your footage to a computer or whatever. And then your standard camera sort of thread, so you can put it on a tripod or a bank stick as I use for. On the top, you've got 3 buttons. You've got your camera button. Now they're all multifunctional buttons, so you've got a camera button, so one press takes a picture, press and hold starts a video recording. Your next button in the middle, that is to swap between your different colour palettes. If you hold that one in, it brings up your menu. I won't go through that, but it's got all your menus and settings and stuff. And then your bottom one is your zoom, so single presses do your zoom, and a long press how do I word this? It readjusts the shutter in the camera, like a camera shutter, so that if you've changed between one area that's lighter than the other or darker, it kind of refocuses the spotter, if that makes sense. It does it automatically every few seconds, but if you press and hold that, it will kind of refocus the spotter for you, if that makes sense. Or the on and off button is hidden behind the Mile 2 logo there, so you press that logo in and that switches it on and off. And that's about it. You can adjust the eyepiece at this side, your eyes, and that's pretty much it. Obviously on the settings there's loads of different bits of settings you can put set in there. I won't go through that. You can have a play with that if you buy it. If you've got any questions about the settings, feel free to ask below in the comments and I will answer them best I can. But yeah, that's it. So we might as well stop messing about and get onto the footage. So let me try and remember the order of this. So I'll start off with some still images. So still images. I'll start off with some close ones and some big items, and then I'll move on to I've got stills of rats, rabbits, and then I've got footage of rats, squirrels, and some other things. Yeah. So up first we have here a still image of Rambo. So Rambo is a couple of feet away from me, and he is the farm dog up on one of my permissions. Nice and clear, as you can see. Next up, here we have an image of a lady called Kath walking her dogs. Now she's about 50 or 60 yards away down a track, and as you can see, you can figure out that that's a person walking some dogs. The colour palette here is Alarm, or Red Hot as some people know it. So that's a couple of big items. Oh, next big item, nearly forgot about that. Here's me filming this video in White Hot. I find with the colour palettes actually, I don't have a favourite. I kind of pick between just what suits the conditions, the lighting conditions, whether I'm shooting in the dark, in the light. Yeah, so I don't really have a favourite. I kind of flip between and see what's best for the situation. Anyway, back to the footage. So they're the big images. We'll move on to some rabbits next. Okay, so this is a rabbit permission that I've got on a football pitch. So the first rabbit picture is sat in front of some dugouts. Now they are halfway down a football pitch and I'm stood at the end of the football pitch. So you can just see the rabbit there, lighting up red on alarm setting. The next image is literally across the other side of the football pitch. It's not quite showing up red, this one, but you can see the white heat signature there. And the third image of the rabbits is sat behind, might be the same rabbit, is sat behind the dugouts that I showed you in the first image. So it's quite clear, you can see the heat sources, because that was one of my concerns, was how much detail are you going to see. So obviously with the furniture, so fences, buildings, it's not that clear at a distance, but the heat signature is definitely there. And when you know that that's what you're shooting for, you know it's there, you can tell that it's a rabbit. Next up, we'll go on to some stills of rats. So the first image we've got here is a close-up This is of one that's already been put to sleep, so he's having a nap, and there's a nest just behind that rat, and you can see a few others dotted behind him hiding. So they're hidden behind foliage and stuff. Quite difficult to see by eye, even through my night vision scope, but as you can see on the thermal, clear as day. Next image is a group of rats up round a feeder. Now the next two images, the weather on this night was really misty, so there's literally nearly no detail of furniture or fences, trees, anything. I was looking at pretty much a blank screen most of the night. Now I believe this is an issue with most thermal cameras. If it's quite misty, I'm in the fire service, and I know that the thermal cameras we use, they even struggle with glass and water. All thermals do, but this was quite misty, so the image is quite plain, but you can see all the rats around the feeder here. And the next image is some rats coming. So there's a lane, as you can see, going up left to right through the image, and then the rats are coming out of bushes and stuff up the side of this lane. So there's a tiny heat source on the far left. Centre of shot is a rat coming out of the bushes. He's probably at about 30 yards, and then the rat further up the image is probably at about 60 yards from memory. But you can see them clear as day. You can just about make out the lane, slightly darker line in the image. So we'll move on to some other images of rats. So these are, let me check. So here we have a couple of rats that have been shot already from under some chicken sheds. So I'm stood pretty close to these, 10 yards away. You can see them both there on the floor. And this next image is from my seat. So I get sat outside these chicken sheds. I'm at 13 yards here, and you can see these rats under the sheds. Now there is some footage of this in a minute, some video footage of these rats as well. And that's it, that's the still images. So we'll move on to the actual footage, videos that I've taken. Again, I'll start out big with some larger animals, and then we'll move on to the smaller stuff. So first up, as you can see here, I'm sat in a hide at this point, and there's some sheep coming through me, between me and my squirrel feeder. They're about 15 yards away, nice and clear. Now the colour palette on this one is sepia, I think that's how you say it. Sepia, yeah. Yep, so that's the sheep at 15 yards on sepia. I do go through all the colour palettes in a minute as well. So next up, underneath my not pheasant feeder, underneath my squirrel feeder is a pheasant. So you can make him out there, that's 30 yards away, so I'm sat in a hide. My feeder, you can just see it on the tree there, it shows up a little bit of a heat source. There's a pheasant underneath the feeder, picking up obviously the bits that drop off, and you can tell that that's a bird. Next up is squirrels. So what I've been doing is a bit of squirrel shooting recently, setting up a feeder and setting up a hide 30 yards away, and I mount the spotter on, because I've got a camouflage net in front of my feeder, hide, Christ, it's hard to see through. I've got my gun poking out, but it's hard to see through the netting. So I poke the thermal spotter through, link it to my phone, which I'll talk about the app in a minute, link it to my phone, and then I can see squirrels coming from a mile off. And then I can look through my gun scope instead of struggling to see. Really good way of using a thermal spotter, even during, obviously this is during the day as well. So the next up, here's a bit of footage of some squirrels. So first up, these squirrels are actually in a tree, so they're not from a hide. These squirrels are from a tree, and I flick through all the different colour palettes here. So first up, the colour palette it's already on is alarm, or some spotters call it red hot, where the heat source shows up as red. I do quite like this palette, but sometimes it lights everything up as red. I'm not really sure why, but so sometimes during the conditions dependent, it's not always fit for for the situation. Next up, we go into green hot. Then we go into sepia, which I quite like this one for woodlands. I feel like it differentiates the trees quite well. Then we've got white hot, black hot, iron red, and then back to alarm or red hot. So that's the squirrels, a couple of squirrels sat in the trees. And then back to the feeder. So first off, we've got a video of two squirrels having a run around and chase each other. You can also see all the little songbirds as well, so they're tiny little heat sources. It does show them up really well as well. So there's 2 squirrels running about, and here's another clip from the same position, but of 3 squirrels running about in different areas of the shot. So you can see, I can tell that they're squirrels. I know that with it being a budget thermal spotter, your detail is what you're lacking with your quality of sensors and stuff. But I can tell, you know, from the pheasant clip that it's a pheasant. The squirrels, I can tell that they're squirrels. And obviously you know your area, you know where you're shooting, you know what's there. You know the rats under the chicken shed. I know the rats, you can see that the rats anyway because you're only close. So yeah, that is the footage, and that's what I was missing when I was looking for a video to, you know, look to buy one of these, is I couldn't find a great deal of footage. Obviously this is based at your sub 12 air gunners really. So yeah, hopefully that was beneficial to you. So the last thing I'm going to cover before I finish is just the app. So there's a Pixfra app you can link your spotter to. Now you can link it links via Wi-Fi, so you have to go into your Wi-Fi, you know, link to it on there. And then once you're linked to it, you have to make sure that Wi-Fi is switched on the device as well. Then you can link to it, and then, so for example, when I'm in the squirrel hide, I'll sit with the spotter on a bank stick, because I've got on a fishing bank stick, and then I've got a clamp for my phone, and then I just sit there basically watching, as well as enjoying the wildlife around me. I sit watching my phone screen for when the squirrels are coming in. You also link to it to download your images that you've taken, your photos and videos. Now I'm not sure if it's the app's not been smooth plain sailing for me. I found that there's been a couple of glitches with some of the media not showing up on the app on my phone, so I don't know whether it's a bit of a tech in the spotter and my phone aren't quite linking right, or whether it's a problem with the app. But sometimes the images, that'll show that there's an image there, but it won't show you what the image is, if that makes sense. But when I link it to my laptop, when I plug it in USB, the images are all there fine. So when you're on the app, you can click photo, video, and then you can select either device or local. So I think local is when you've downloaded it to your phone, and then device is what's on the device. Now the other sticking point I found is you can't seem to delete the footage or videos through the app from the spotter. The only way to do that is to plug it in to your laptop and then basically format the memory inside the thing again, and that seems to wipe it all. So that's maybe an area that the app could do with being improved. Whether the technology's there in this or not, I don't know, but yeah, it's good for, you know, for a budget thermal. It's perfectly all right. I can link it, download my images, download my footage, and watch it all back. Yeah, and that's it basically. I think that's it. I think I've covered everything, and hopefully that was beneficial to you. If you're looking to get one of these spotters, you're on a budget, like I said, the RRP for about $399, but you can get them for about $320. Perfect spotter for air gunners. If you're just looking for those heat sources, you don't need to identify what an animal is at long distance, then yeah, I don't see why you need to buy anything else other than the Mile 2 M207 from Pixfra. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, do all that jazz. If you've got any questions or want to see anything else about this, leave it in the comments below. Yeah, thanks for watching.